All right, let's do it live on a Thursday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I am merely Beau. He is the great Z. Do you think ever that there would ever be an opportunity for us to do like CBD, unscripted, unplugged, unfiltered?
Yeah, I think there is an opportunity.
The programs, the conversations like the one we were having right before the start of this show and some of the things we were witnessing
Great Mark
could be discussed.
Yeah.
Could those things be discussed on a certainly not this platform?
I think we need to do some road shows where we're at, bars and we're just talking.
Oh my gosh.
Which would be fantastic.
Freestyle,
just like
you do the
people.
show.
The great Rebele.
You
Let
do
him
the
in.
show.
Oh, give it.
And then you turn. Then the show's over, and everything gets disconnected, and then you have the conversation that we just had.
Yeah. Then you could talk about things. Yeah.
And you'd have to do the other thing. You'd have to do like you take a bin around and get everybody's phone.
Right. Yeah, and then we can have free. Yeah.
Jeter style,
free-flowing discourse. That's what we can have.
Yeah. I think that's what you need to do, and I think there might be an audience for that type of experience. More intimate experience with us.
It would be.
Well,
I think it would be. I think we should. That's why I feel like we need kind of like Stern Show has Stern Show, and then they have like the after show pod where it gets like totally all the guys just get totally crazy. Like that's what we need to have.
Be like the after show pod, except as if Howard actually participated.
Right. It would. Well, yes. In our case, yes, we would be like.
In our case,
we would be the Howard.
We would actually participate.
Right.
In the after hour show.
Right.
Yeah. So very good. Boy, again, just 2 more days. Fantastic. I know there's rain coming allegedly this evening and perhaps tomorrow morning, but here we go. It's a Thursday. It's nice.
So
70.
I had 2 things to lead off with today. The first
Go
was
ahead.
one of my friends who is a listener of this show asked a question that I had no answer to. And I think the only person who could have an answer to it is you, Beau Bishop. So when we start shows on Wednesdays, you always call it a First Friday miracle edition of the show.
A miracle.
And
That's right.
my friend was wondering what about it made it a miracle, because he was wondering if perhaps on Wednesdays, unbeknownst to us, we were under siege and we had to fight through. And so the fact that we were able to produce a show on the first Friday was miraculous. He didn't know what caused it to be miraculous only on a first Friday.
I'd be happy to answer this. The reason that it's miraculous is because you have accepted the mindset that it is not Wednesday, that it is Friday.
There it is.
And so that is the miracle.
There it is.
That is the miracle. That you wake up on a terribly spelled, absurdly stupid day with bad nicknames, and instead of being, under the yoke of Hump Day or trying for a little kid to understand the spelling of Wednesday, you can say, you know what? To heck with it, dude. It's Friday. Have a cocktail. Enjoy yourself. Play some golf. Live a little. Live.
That's the miracle.
That's why it's a miracle. And not everybody can get there. But we get there, and so for us, it's why it's a miracle. We got there. So we have been illuminated.
What's more miraculous, our ability to tap into that mindset and treat Wednesday like a Friday, or a certain program on NBC's ability to turn it into a Saturday?
True. Honestly, that's just another level. When you start talking about Wednesday night taped and convincing generations of audiences that there was a live show on Saturday that even people attended, that the hosts actually were
there on a Saturday night.
They thought they were live.
Themselves. Yeah.
Felt like we were watching this thing live.
Wrong.
Feels like there's a live performance.
That's
no,
the miracle.
Not.
That's a miracle.
It wasn't. That would be a true miracle of Wednesday night taped. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be it.
So here,
next.
That was next. Thank you. Number 2. I was talking yesterday. We were talking about the greatest March ever, and for some reason, I remember that March. I think I said 8 to 10 years ago. Well, it turns out.
Yeah, you had a good feel for the time frame.
Turns out it was exactly 9 years ago. It was March 2012. That month, March 2012, had an average high of 61.3 degrees. The hottest March in the history of Cleveland.
Wow.
In fact, the previous March record high was 1946 when it was at 60.8 degrees. We're not even in the 60s because I did the math. We're in the low to mid 50s is where we're at for this March.
And we got a couple,
which is still pretty
couple
good.
of 30s that crushed us.
Yeah,
but an average of 60. Gosh.
Well, and the typical this year is unseasonably warm. The average is in the 40s.
Yeah.
So everybody is correct directionally. It shows a little bit of recency bias, but when you look at this, I mean, we were talking 61.3 in that month, that March that we talked about. Because I remember we were talking Gibbs 80, which I thought I was maybe making up. That March had, where is it here? It's somewhere in here. Yes, it had 5 days in the 80s and 8 days in the 70s. 2012. So
wow.
I didn't even remember it being that good either. So
I can remember.
Wow.
Being
St. Patty's Day was 80-something degrees. That I remember vividly.
St. Patty's Day was like 75 degrees, and it was warm when you woke up. It wasn't like it's 45 and it's going up to 70.
Yeah.
Like it was 60 degrees at like 5 a.m. and it only went up.
Man.
I remember we were live from a bar downtown, and I can remember like helping people out and putting them in the back of taxi cabs and literally giving IDs and money to a cabbie and going, take them home. And it was like 8:05 in the morning. I'm like, oh, it's going to be a long day.
Oh, my God.
This is going to be a day.
Yeah, man.
You got to pace yourself. You got to pace yourself a little bit, man.
8:05
a.m.
That's amateur hour. Like, get out.
No. Amateur hour is in a cab by 8 a.m. That's amateur hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that's not even that's no fun in that. That's no fun in that. Wow. What a job out of you. So 2 major developments, 2 questions answered. They were important ones. As we get into the Ohio Business Machine hot topics, preferred copy provider of your Cleveland Browns, so all the X's and O's for your office, call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. We reportedly hosted Jadeveon Clowney yesterday.
Yes.
So this is interesting. Did you take him out to a nice seafood dinner?
I did not. I was not a part of such hosting. However, I will tell you that as Adam Schefter and others have reported, that Jadeveon was here yesterday, and he's somebody that, look, the Browns were very much interested in, getting Takk McKinley.
Multiple times.
They tried multiple times. Guess what? He's here now. This will be now 2 years of a pursuit on some level of Jadeveon Clowney. And I think, this is the Browns have gotten to the point, my sense of it, is that the Browns have gotten to the point where they are comfortable with their roster knowing the draft is coming up, but they will always look to improve it. And Clowney's a guy that I think they find intriguing, and I think it was as much of a, let's get to know you as it is for Clowney, you get to know us, type of a situation where let's sit down, let's talk, let's be face-to-face and feel out where we are. Here's our vision. Here's where you are. What's your vision? And then we'll see if, down the line it makes sense for us to do business together.
Reportedly, the first time they've ever been able to meet face to face.
I think that was the impetus for it. I think that was something that was important to both sides. Was to let's sit down.
Hey, we'd like to talk to you.
Yeah, let's have a feel.
We've been interested in you for a while. Let's say we meet, and let's see what we think.
I mean, I can think of before, for example, you and I ever did this show together. People that I knew that knew you. Maybe there was some bad mouthing going on. And so
thought it was a total crud.
Total crud. That was the word on the street. Bishop crud.
That was the word. Guy's crud.
Guy's a real crud.
He's the worst.
Yeah. Terrible. You're gonna hate him.
Guy's the worst. You don't want to know this guy. He's a terrible guy.
And then it's like, well, let's just get in the room together and see what happens. And then
all of a sudden,
and now
magic.
And now here we are, best friends. Transformative turkeys on the docket.
Transformative turkeys are coming.
On-air lights are here. I mean, it's a real Cinderella story.
Twitter accounts for on-air lights?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
How about that?
Twitter accounts.
How about that, Gibbs? The CBD Lights Twitter account.
I'm not on Twitter. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you are on Twitter, though.
Oh, you are. In fact, you run multiple accounts,
and I love
those accounts.
There'll be a third-person tweet coming later today because the BPA dropped about 2 hours ago.
How great, by the way.
Hey guys, check out the BPA.
How great is the name Air CBD? That's the best.
At Air CBD.
Yeah.
So good.
CBD on air light. The picture is literally it's the on air light. Account for the Cleveland Browns daily on air light. Stay illuminated, my friends. What a legend. Whoever this is. Bravo.
What a time.
Bravo.
Good job out of you. Very good. Yep. On the Clowney front,
yes.
In terms of you were in a position, we've talked about this a little bit, but you're in a position now where you can be very choosy with who else you add.
Yep.
I think we all know you'd like to add another defensive end. You know that you'd like to add another corner. You can now be choosy with those veterans. You can see if it's a fit. I saw someone today with this, and I think it's just going to be more and more as we go along, and I think we're ready for it this time. We are going to be the favorites in the AFC North. We are going to be on a short list of teams, about 7 or 8, that have a real shot at winning the Super Bowl. That's the way that we're going to be viewed going into this season.
That's right.
I think it'll be reflected both from the people in the desert who do these things for a living and in reality. And so what that buys you is it buys you an ability to talk to people like Jadeveon Clowney, to be in on people like J.J. Watt, and to be able to maybe find some common ground where maybe it's a fit on a deal and you can have a great experience playing for a great organization, and would it be something to be on a team that brought a championship to Cleveland? So that's the way that it goes. I think it also helps. We've got a lot of really cool players.
We do.
I think it matters around we have Odell and Jarvis and Chubb and Hunt, Miles, Baker. We have a lot of really cool players on this team. John Johnson, the third week now on this team. You've got a lot of really cool dudes on this squad. Delpit, you haven't even seen him play yet, but trust me, he will be. I just think it's a really enviable place to be. There's a really cool feel around it, and it reminds me, now we don't have the hardware, and I'm not ready to crown anybody, but it reminds me, Baltimore was able to do this a lot because they just had a really cool roster, and people wanted to be there.
Yeah, they want to be part of it.
They want to be a part of it.
By the way,
we're close to that here. Go ahead.
Before I react to that, I don't know if have you ever heard the Mach tell you the story about when he went to the doctor?
No.
You haven't?
So last week, I went to the doctor. You know what he told me? I had OCD. Yeah, one cool dude. Yeah.
That's a real promo that he did.
One cool dude?
He said, doctor said I had OCD. Yeah, one cool dude. All right, yeah. Smart guy, yeah.
I need to. That's what I want to do because Bootsy is dropping Champions Prerogative on people all the time. I got to add one cool dude to it.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Give me a bunch of Machisms. You got to voice me a bunch of Machisms that I can play for him, and then so that I can put them into his lexicon.
I'm going to do you one better, okay? They released, the WWE released, and now you can probably find it on Amazon or find it on eBay for cheap, but they released back in the day when DVDs were a thing. I think it's a 3-disc set of the Macho Man.
3 discs on Mach.
Yeah, so some of it's like documentary, and then you get all of his greatest matches. But then at the end, they have like a 45-minute compilation that is nothing but clips of promos, not even full promos. It's just all to get all of those. And the Cream Always Rises, Champions Prerogative, One Cool Dude, all of it, just one after the other, and you're just dying. That's what he needs. That's what he needs. Just get him to watch that. Yeah. And then tell him, you can tell him, I have one of the Mach's robes. True story. I have the robe that he wore to defend the World Heavyweight Championship in London, England against Hulk Hogan.
Jeez, that's incredible. I have not introduced him to Mach. I just tell him to say the words.
Well, then you watch it, and then you'll have a whole set of notes.
Then I'll say it. Yeah.
That you should drop on. You should drop the one cool dude on him. Say next time you have a doctor's appointment.
I'm going to.
What did the doctor say? He said, "I'm OCD."
One cool dude. Yeah.
One cool dude.
He's like, smart guy. Yeah, you're a smart guy.
It's awesome.
Anyway, I don't know how I got there, but anyway.
I don't know either. I like it, though. I'm glad you did.
Clowney is a guy that certainly, I think, and you mentioned the cool dudes. That's how we got there. The cool dudes on the team and how.
Oh, yeah, cool dudes.
And
that's
how
right.
you would want. Clowney last year didn't have a sack, but he generated 22 pressures on 266 pass rush snaps, right around his career average, almost 1 for every 10. Pass rush grade was still excellent at Pro Football Focus, great against the run as well. And his overall grade put him ahead of what we had in Olivier Vernon, who had a great season for us at Pro Football Focus.
Right.
So it didn't show up in the stat sheet in terms of sacks, but he was disruptive getting out after the quarterback, and he was disruptive in the ground game. And he's a guy that, again, former first-round pick, very, very good. Stout would allow you to do – I mean, the things that you would be able to do with Clowney, Garrett, and Tack McKinley now would be unbelievable. Yeah. And I think if you made a signing like that, I think we're really zeroing in on best player available. If something crazy happens, for example, we're here. You saw what Micah Parsons did today in his testing.
Jason Owe too, right?
Both of them.
4.36.
Ridiculous. That, you could, if he falls for off the field issues all the way to 26, a guy who's a top 10 talent, definitely in the case of Parsons, you could say, all right, we're doing that. Or I think you're really starting to zero in on the cornerback position early in this draft, and you have the luxury. You really have the luxury to do anything. I think corner would be the one thing as we sit here today. If you signed a Clowney, or we talked yesterday about Ryan Kerrigan, anything like that, that's the one thing that you would still need, but you are you'd really be freed up.
Set.
I think Clowney would be a very interesting one, and it's it's funny when you talk about scouts. And, a guy like Andrew Berry's risen the ranks of starting as a scout and has worked his way up.
Yeah.
And our organization, the Eagles, and now back youngest GM in NFL history, and certainly incredibly successful thus far. You always remember who you loved. And clearly Tack McKinley was a guy that Andrew Berry and his crew liked coming out of college. And I'm sure who didn't like Jadeveon Clowney coming out of college? I mean, so it's an opportunity to get these guys and see if you can figure out how they fit in what we want to do here. And I think it could be pretty awesome. Could be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think it could be as well. 2 o'clock, Cody Parker will join the program. That'll be very, very exciting. Z will go one-on-one with Coach Stefanski here at the bottom of the hour. We go around the league coming up next. And just one of the most strange Twitter experiences from a professional sports team that I've ever seen. We will get you that coming up next. Off and running here on a Thursday edition. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Beau Bishop for my great friends at Weather Seal Home Services. Do you need a roof replacement? Would you like to replace your roof for the last time? I know that you would. That is the benefit of choosing a metal roof from Weather Seal. Metal roof technology, materials, styles, colors. They've improved significantly. They are beautiful, nearly indestructible, and get this, and this is as important as anything, affordable, especially at Weather Seal. And with new metal roof technology, Weather Seal includes a 6-inch gutter upgrade and up to 7 years, zero interest financing. That's right, guys, 7 years, zero interest on this. Call my guys. Do it now, 877-351-SEAL, or visit WeatherSealHomeservices.com. That is WeatherSealHomeservices.com. So it's tricky operating a social media account for a professional sports team, a college sports team, because you want to have engagement. You want to get your fans happy. You want to get them excited. You want to do all these things. But if you are an organization who traded up for Mitch Trubisky in lieu of drafting Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes, if you are an organization that doubled down on Trubisky and then traded for Nick Foles, paid him a lot of money and gave up something to get him, and then if you're an organization, and my hunch is they're the ones who got it to Schefter, hey, we really tried hard to get Russell Wilson. Adam, will you put it out there that we really tried hard to get Russell Wilson? I don't know if it's the best decision to tweet out an image of Andy Dalton in a Bears uniform with nothing but QB1. Now, it can be both that this is absurd to do something like this and unfair to Andy Dalton because he doesn't get enough credit for as good as he was in Cincinnati. But that's been about a decade ago. It's been a while. And there are limitations, even at his best, to what he can be. So it's unfair to him to do this and pretty absurdly tone deaf with your fan base to do it. And if you need more proof, simply look at the replies, which are as you'd expect them to be.
Well, yes. Couple of things on that. Number one, Andy Dalton for his career, 74-66. He won at least 9 games in 5 seasons, 10 or more 4 times. He's thrown for more than 4,000 yards twice. Okay.
You sound like a man trying to sell Brandon Weeden.
No, hold on. Did you know in the history – hold on, I'm going to get self-deprecating in a second. But in the history of the Bears organization, they've never had a quarterback throw for 4,000 yards ever. Not once. Not even in this era.
I would have thought Cutler did it once.
No. Wow. Nay. Erroneous. Did not do it. Eric Kramer, 1995, 3,838 yards. In that season, he threw 10 touchdowns and 29 interceptions.
Is that good?
I'm sorry, 29 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. That's much better. Phew, that looked bad for a second there.
Yeah,
Cutler,
pretty bad. It would have been the worst season ever.
Cutler, 38. It would have been unbelievable. Cutler, 38-12 in 2014. Cutler had a couple 36 seasons as well, but that never 4,000. Nope, never 4,000. And then in terms of 30 touchdowns in a season, boy, wouldn't you know that's never happened either? Sid Luckman did throw 31 interceptions in a season once, but never 30 touchdowns in a season for a Bears quarterback. That is one of the most stupefying things ever.
When as we've talked about on the show, I grew up a Bears fan because they were good when I was young. And then it wasn't something that I followed very closely. But when I was young, I did like them, loved the 85 Bears. And when I met my wife, and her dad's a diehard Browns fan, and we would talk about the Browns, he's, boy, we just never get a quarterback. And I would say, with all due respect, you have had Otto Graham, you have had Brian Sipe, you have had Bernie Kosar. You had really good quarterbacks.
Sure.
And honestly, the Bears laugh at the Lions' problems. Just laugh at them. The Bears have the worst quarterback lineage in the NFL by 100 miles. It's really not close.
Matt Stafford's so much better than any quarterback that's ever been a Bear. It's not even funny.
No, they don't have any. There's nobody.
Nothing.
They don't have anything. It's Cutler, Jim McMahon for like a year, Eric Kramer, Jim Miller. Cade McNown. It's a disaster.
Yeah.
Disaster.
So he might be the best quarterback
for them
to ever
QB1.
play for them. He might legitimately be QB1. Now, here's where I'll get self-deprecating. I'm pretty sure, Gibbe, you would remember this. This was definitely PB, which is pre-Beau. I'm pretty sure that we may have put out tweets at one point that referred to Cody Kessler as Goaty Kessler And I'm also pretty sure that he got a QB1 tweet at some point for sure.
I may have blocked that
It's
totally
hard.
out of my mind.
I'm pretty sure. We'd have to get Allie to verify
It's hard.
that.
I acknowledge how hard it is. It's hard when you are, because you want to get your fans excited. It's just in this instance, if you're them and you have the history that I outlined and laid out for you, take the temperature of the room a little better.
Well,
you know
who's at fault.
Do it in August.
Yeah, this is like getting a dinner and then having to pay for it when it's supposed to be free.
By the way, I texted him and I said, I want you to know that we hold you responsible for that. And the Galan just started blasting us with things.
Yeah, he just started sending.
He has no ability to
Bears
blast anybody with
gifts
anything. The man doesn't pay for his
mocking
bills.
the Browns. Mocking the Browns in his gifts.
Yeah, I don't even know if he can walk into this town again after the way that he left.
No.
I don't know if he can show his face.
No. No.
It's a tough spot.
Yeah. Yes.
Just do this in training camp. It's too soon. If you feel like you have to do this, do it in training camp. Don't do it now. Don't put Dalton in the impossible position. Don't do this now. This is not the time. Just put a Khalil Mack tweet up. Don't do this now. Don't do this now. All right, coming up next, our guy, Kevin Stefanski, one-on-one with the Great Z. Huge segment coming your way next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Very happy now to be joined by the head coach of your Cleveland Browns, Kevin Stefanski. And Coach, here we are basically a week later from the start of free agency, and you've got an entirely new defensive unit. Obviously, that seemed to be the plan. You guys always have them. But what was the approach to this free agency period for you?
Yeah, the approach, as you know, with Andrew and his staff is we got to get better and let's find a way to get better. So they identified some guys, particularly on the defensive side, like you mentioned, that we felt could come in here and really help us. I think it's headlined by John Johnson and what he brings to this group, to the defense, to the defensive back room, to the team. I think that's going to be an impactful addition to our group. But bottom line is Andrew and his staff, they'll look under every rock. They'll check everything out and try and see what makes sense for the Cleveland Browns. And I think they identified a bunch of guys and followed through with their plan.
Let's start with John Johnson. What do you envision him bringing to the Browns?
Yeah, really excited about his skill set. I think, the word versatility gets thrown around a lot, and I think he's the guy. He's the guy that plays in the post. He plays down by the line of scrimmage, in the box, over the slot. You see him showing up in different areas. You see him making plays on the ball. He tackles well. So he does really everything well. He's not maybe he's not that sexy name, right, with John Johnson. But listen, the guy's a player. He's a baller, and that's where we're excited to have him.
Yeah, when I talked to him, I felt his confidence, and you knew that this was a guy that believed in his abilities. He said something interesting, too. I asked him about calling plays. And because, typically you see that as a linebacker. And he said, well, I don't ever come off the field, so they knew I was going to be on the field, and he relished that. And it kind of made me think, that makes a lot of sense if you have a guy who's going to play every defensive snap to put the dot on his helmet.
No doubt. And you talk about the dot on the helmet. A lot of times it is that Mike linebacker. And we'll talk through what that's going to be for us. But I just know that guy is staring into the eyeballs of his defense, and he's relaying that call. And as part of relaying that call, and we talk about this in the quarterback room, and when you're in that huddle and you're making eye contact, you're selling that call to your team. So it's no small thing to be able to do that. It just goes to show you how prepared he is. It goes to show you how smart he is, that he can handle all that. And like you mentioned, they give that to a guy that's not leaving the field.
So you wanted to improve the back end of the defense. You said, let's grab 40% of the starting secondary from the number one pass defense in the NFL a year ago, not just John Johnson, Troy Hill, a Youngstown kid who has the passion, obviously, for this area, and a guy, 3 defensive touchdowns last year. What did you see from him as one of the better slot corners in the league?
Yeah, really excited about that Troy and what he can bring to that back end. You mentioned slot corner. I think he can excel inside of that nickel. You saw it. He's competitive as all get out in coverage. He can run fit. He can blitz, and he can play outside. It's not one of those guys where, well, he could do this, but we don't really want him to do this. He really can do both. He's a guy that can play inside or out. We're excited about that versatility in that we can have him do either, but seeing him inside and be really, really competitive in the pass game and being a complete nickel, I thought that was something that jumped out on tape.
You think about Greedy and Grant coming back, Denzel, Troy, you mentioned, John Johnson, Ronnie. It almost feels like there's 6 starters in the secondary. And so Joe Woods is going to have to get creative. And I know you as a play caller thinking about those 3 safeties out there that probably present some real challenges.
Yeah, I think it's important when you're playing defense that you can be multiple. And I think you need to show different looks to an offense. If you just stay there in one look, some of these quarterbacks are so good where they can just pick you apart. So to be able to show different looks and have guys that don't always do one thing, that's where you see some of those safety positions being able to play all around, having linebackers that can walk out on the slot, having linebackers that can rush and play off the ball. So we need to obviously put guys in a role, and eventually we'll get there, but it's nice to have guys that can do a little bit of everything.
All right, you mentioned linebackers, Anthony Walker Jr., impressive guy, clearly made an impact on his teammates, and fits, you guys always say smart, tough, accountable. After my conversation with him, I'd say he definitely fits that mold.
No doubt. This is a gym rat, son of a coach. He was the 6-year-old at football practice carrying the water bottle. So he's in love with this game. His passion for this game comes through when you talk to him, when you watch him play. He's a really skilled player. I mean, he can run and hit. And I think obviously in our system, we value guys that can really run. And then all those other things that he brings to the table with the intangibles and being a great teammate, that's no small part of this. We value that, like you said.
All right, and then all 3 levels of the defense. Let's go to the line now. It starts with Tack McKinley. And, Coach, I got to tell you, I've got an opportunity to talk to a lot of guys when they come in. And a lot of guys can say the right things. I just felt something from him that was very palpable to me. And you see the tape, incredibly talented. Maybe it got awry. Maybe he took it for granted, as he said. But, boy, that's a pretty high upside, very low risk maneuver, bringing in a guy like Tack McKinley opposite Miles.
Yeah, Tack, spending time with him and you get the feel for this guy. He's got a passion for this game, and he wants to play, and he wants to contribute, and he wants to compete. He's at a place in his career where we all are. We go through the trials and the tribulations, the ups and the downs, and he's had a unique start with some injury, being a little bit unlucky there with an injury. But now he comes into a situation where I'm excited for him. He gets to put his best foot forward, contribute to what we're doing, fit in this scheme. I think is really good in terms of how he comes off the edge and how relentless he is, and he gets off the ball. So we're really excited. I think this is an opportunity for him, and I've had that conversation with him, and I think he's really going to relish this opportunity.
And then you bring in a guy, Malik Jackson, who was at a time certainly one of the premier interior pass rushers in the league, and I know that's something that can very be disruptive to an offense. What do you think about Malik coming in as well?
Yeah, so Joe Woods has a history with Malik in Denver. Andrew Berry has a history with Malik in Philadelphia. So we know Malik well as a person and as a player. And what you're getting in the player is somebody that can line up across the front. I mean, he's played in a 2-eye technique. He's played in a 3. He's played in a 5. He can play defensive end. So we feel strongly that he's a chess piece for Joe and the defensive staff to move him around based on the fronts that we're playing. And again, that fit in terms of style, he gets off the ball. He's a relentless player as he comes off with his long arms and can make plays in the run and the pass. So I think he brings another element to our front. And then not to mention a veteran presence, a guy that's kind of done it and can show the young guys the way.
So we've talked a lot about defense because, frankly, you're running it back on offense, which I don't know if any team in the NFL is running it back to the extent that we are with Hollywood coming back now. Every principal contributor from last year will be back again. How excited are you about that you get to have a full year of growth with that unit?
Yeah, I think continuity is a big deal, Nathan, and we talked about that with our coaching staff. We have our entire staff back, which I think is an advantage for us. And then on the offensive side of the ball, it's year 2. So you expect to make strides every year in this business. So I think we have guys that will have a better understanding for sure as we get started in the spring and the summer with our work. They'll understand our schemes. There'll be less time spent with those guys just understanding how to line up and those type of ththings. Of course, you'll have rookies and you'll have some new players as you always do. But I just think there's great benefit there where you can hit the ground running. And that's the idea for us with the offense.
All right, Coach. So you head into now the rest of free agency and the draft, and I'll leave you with this one. I've never seen a Browns team positioned like this one is, where truly you could roll this out and go through the season. I'm sure probably you want another corner, another defensive end, some depth here or there. But when you think about where to go next, and we've heard obviously the name Jadeveon Clowney was talked about being here, what do you see? Where do you see the pieces you want to add, and how do you get to approach this draft? Are you truly in a position where you can say at 26, let's take the best guy available, period, regardless of position?
Well, the roster's always in flux. You're always going to be adding guys throughout the year. I think of Malcolm Smith last year, who was a key contributor that we got there in August. So we'll constantly, and Andrew and his staff will constantly be looking to improve the roster as we get through the draft. I do think if you go into every draft trying to get the best player available, that's the best way to do it. And we're fortunate where we can do that, but we're not naive enough to say that we're done. We got to constantly be adding to this roster, constantly be adding depth. And if there's opportunities that present themselves, we need to add good players, and that's where we're lucky that Andrew and his staff, they're on it. They're looking at the waiver wire every single week. They're making sure that they're doing everything in their power to constantly improve this roster.
Well, I appreciate it. I know your time is very valuable. Thanks so much, Coach.
Thanks, Nathan. Appreciate it, bud.
All right, we're in the break. Thank you, man.
Elk and Elk, serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK Ohio today for a free case review. Elk and Elk is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. It's a good job out of you on that interview with Coach. Good seeing him again. I know you're in the building, and I'm not. But from the standpoint of just being able to get in a room with him again, because even when you see him, it's still a little tough, a little bit of separation of church and state.
Yeah, it's so different in a year being here at his
Yeah.
Like I ran into him yesterday afternoon and talked to him briefly, but it really is great. By the way, Ian Rappaport saying that there is definite, quote, mutual interest between the Browns and Jadeveon Clowney, and their meeting puts them in a great position to potentially sign him somewhere down the road. And that's if you were listening earlier, then maybe those were scores. Maybe they were scores.
Pay attention.
Yeah.
Pay attention. Things are said on this show. Write them down.
But it is, to your point, it's great being back in here. It's great getting to see, seeing Coach. And, as I said, when I got to talk to so many of the assistant coaches, and now I get to see them, Last year, we brought in a new staff, and outside of interviewing somebody at Browns Live or, through a Zoom, I didn't get to see them. I didn't get to shake anybody's hand. I didn't get to even, 2021 elbow bump them. None of that. So
Nothing.
I think that it's. I love being back in here. I love getting to see those guys. And talking to Coach, I was mentioning as I did, just the investment he makes in the guys on his staff, which is incredible. Which is why I think you see, 100% of the guys wanting to come back. Professional nirvana, professional utopia, all those things that I told you I'd heard. And, he told me something that was pretty wild, which he said, when I did my first ever press conference as an offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, that was the first press conference I ever did. And so I want my guys to have experience before they have to do that. Think about that.
Sure, yeah. I mean, he played at Penn, and then he's, you go to the Vikings on a pretty entry-level position.
Sure.
You're not going to have
press conferences.
No, you don't do those things. He is so giving, and a lot of the traits, it's so amazing that you really would swear that like he and AB like grew up together. The way that they're thought, the way everything from the way that they speak to the manner in which they do it, to the way that they view things. I mean, it's so incredible that they didn't know each other their whole lives, because their background certainly would be one that would add up to say that they should. And certainly the way that they carry themselves. But what it really is it's incredible, because it's the ultimate confidence you have in yourself.
Totally.
It's a completely void of insecurity. And there are people who are chesty and act like they're something, but at the root of it, there's usually an insecurity.
Sure. Yep.
And so then they lash out. You lash out, and those type of things happen. What you have here with these two individuals, and I'd say Paul's the same way, is you have people who are completely confident in who they are, and so what that does is they aren't fearful of anything, of anybody, going behind their back.
No.
What do I have to fear? So then that creates this open thing that we have, where you get into an offensive room and you got a bunch of guys who've been head coaches or have called plays, and you go, okay, what's the best thing to do here? And you go, oh, I like that. Let's use that. That'll benefit you. That'll benefit me. Everybody wins. I'm not worried about who gets credit. In fact, when people attempt to give me credit, no, none. I reject it.
Get out of here. Get out of that.
Yeah.
Not having it. And it's
yeah.
funny.
So that's what it is.
Here's just another, like an anecdote to that point is, while I'm sure he was humbled and thrilled to win Coach of the Year, Coach Stefanski did not enjoy the spotlight that such an award casts on him, right?
No.
And so I was talking with one of the coaches, and they shared with me that one of the first things that he did after winning that award, the very next time he spoke with all the coaches, he said, look, this isn't my award. This means that I happen to be the head coach of the best staff in the NFL. This means that I have the best team of coaches in the NFL. That's what it means. Nothing about himself. And the guy, and
of course,
that assistant coach said, he's like, it's crazy how cool this guy is, like that.
Yeah,
that's really truly who he is. And so it's consistent, it's genuine, real, as we've heard the players talk about. And then you've got it. You've got buy-in.
Yeah. when you have that type of and you hit the other word that's really important in all of that, and it's the things that we talked about and the anecdote you just shared. But the other thing is consistent, and it's the same always with him. It's the same always with AB. Like there's no doghouse. There's no where you stand always, and that is what allows for things like a mutual interest with Jadeveon Clowney. So you win. Now you meet somebody, you see you're genuine, you see that they're consistent in their message. They have a tremendous reputation over a short period of time around the league, and now you have a mutual interest. And Ian Rappaport was on NFL Network. Oh, go ahead, Z.
No, I was just going to follow up on that. And go ahead. You toss to it. We'll talk about it when we come back. Go ahead.
Okay. Here is Ian Rappaport talking about the interest with the Browns and Clowney.
It's where he has been, and that is the Cleveland Browns. And, of course, Cleveland is a familiar name associated with Jadeveon Clowney. We spent, most of last offseason talking about the Browns' pursuit of Clowney. Of course, you add on the Saints and the Titans where he ended up. But the Browns, to my knowledge, had the biggest offer for Clowney. 3 years, $57 million. He just preferred a one-year deal, ended up with Tennessee, then had knee surgery, did not go as he planned. But what the Browns wanted to do is sit with him, look him in the eye, talk to him, get to know him as a person, and then see if this is something that they wanted to do. That happened yesterday. He has since gone home. There is mutual interest. We'll see if the two sides end up doing anything. But the fact that Clowney took his first free agent visit, I believe, ever, and it was to Cleveland, does put the Browns in a very good position to potentially sign him down the road.
So you hear that from me in Rappaport, and what I've heard is that Clowney very much enjoyed his experience for many of the reasons that you just outlined in terms of when you sit in the room with Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, they're going to be real, good and bad. Tack McKinley told me after our interview, he's like, they told me what my deficiencies were, and I knew they were right, and I appreciated them telling me where I needed to improve, what they believed that I was capable of doing, and they were right, and I appreciated that directness. What I don't want is somebody who's going to tell me one thing and then do another. And so I think the Browns, when you sit in the room with those two guys, say, yeah, these guys get it. I would love to play for these guys. I would love to be a part of this organization. This feels like success. And so that's what I was going to jump in earlier, was just talking about what Tack shared. And it doesn't surprise me at all that Jadeveon Clowney enjoyed his time here in Cleveland and enjoyed being in the room with those guys. And it also, the fact that, it was as much due diligence. Hey, let's get in a room together. We would love to meet you. You're obviously interested enough to come meet us. We've been interested in the past. Let's see if something makes sense here. And I think that it came out of it that something could make sense here. And if we can get to that part, maybe we've got a deal, because I like you and you like me.
And this is something, folks, you may say, Beau, you're crazy. Nate Z, you're crazy. This is the thing about those two guys. I would bet you anything that they are the exact same with Jadeveon Clowney as they would be with people in the lunch line when we used to have a lunch line. There is no different way of dealing with people based on your status. And that's a tremendous attribute. And it's one of genuine goodness as a person that does that. The simplest way, when you're meeting people, would I get along with this guy? Go see how they are. Just go see how they act with their wife. See how they act with their kids. You'll get a window into who they are, and if it's someone you want to be around, you'll get a window into what type of guy Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry is. I knew what AB was before he was ever the general manager here, just because of how I'd seen him around the building. He didn't know who I was from anybody. Probably saying, "What the hell is this guy doing in here? Who is this?" Nothing. How you doing, Beau? Good to see you. That was it. I mean, but they're the same with everybody. There's a genuine decency with both of them that is obvious when you talk with them. They're just good people.
And it makes coaches want to coach harder for them. It makes players want to play harder for them. And we talk about it all the time that, it's professional football. They're getting paid so much to play. How do they need more? They're human beings too. And it's funny, as I am, 42, about to be 43, just because as a kid I think you grew up and you looked at these players as they were, these mythic adults.
Sure.
It's still hard for me to think that I'm 20 years older in some cases than some of these guys. That like John Johnson or Anthony Walker, who I talked to, that I felt was every bit as mature as I am, which maybe speaks to my immaturity, but he's 25, you know, and I felt like I was talking to a peer, and and it's wild, but I think we forget sometimes that these guys are our kids, and all it's the diversity of the background of player, and the fact that you need sometimes to have a steady hand, and it could be for some guys in the league, and some have told me I've never had a consistently tempered or even consistently present male figure in my life. And so getting to have, and it goes even into the position coach rooms. And that's why some of the, you know, talking to some of the position coaches about who had guys leave their rooms. It hurts. You form real relationships here. And that, when they say it becomes a family and a brotherhood, you know, from all the guys that I've had the pleasure of talking to in 9 years, I know how true that is. And I know how, if you are turned off by the coaching at the top, if you're turned off by the coaching in your room, it doesn't matter that you're a professional. You're still a human. And think about anybody who's listening right now. It doesn't matter how much you're getting paid or how little. If you have a boss that you don't like or that you think is a bozo, it makes it a heck of a lot harder, or is one day hot and cold, is telling you one thing, do another. It makes it a lot harder to do your job and fully commit and invest yourself. It's just the reality of human nature.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. We're lucky to have him. So that's exciting with Clowney, and I think it'd be a heck of a fit if it does happen. Very excited to have Cody Parkey back in the fold again this year. He resigned here recently, and will be joining us next on the program. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Second hour of the program here on Cleveland Browns Daily. Beau Bishop, Nathan Zegura with you here as we are each and every day, 1 to 3, and joined now on the Fifth Third Money Line by Cody Parkey. Our kicker re-signed. Very, very happy to get that news. And Cody, thanks for the time today, man, and thank you for it. We're just glad to have you back. It was awesome, what you did with the position last year, and what led to the decision to come back. How easy of it one was that decision for you to make, and to know that you'll be a Cleveland Brown in 2021 again.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me. We weighed our options, my wife and I. We really felt like Cleveland just kind of felt like home. We really enjoyed last year, even with all the craziness of COVID, and felt like we had a really good relationship with a lot of the guys on the team, and specifically with Charlie Hewitt, the long snapper, and the Scottish Hammer. So I figured I got to come back and make sure the Scottish Hammer, I keep him in check a little bit.
You got to rein him
You're
in sometimes.
Charge of that? Are you taking that on?
It's a full-time job.
I bet it is. Well, Cody, first of all, congratulations on a great season, and congrats on getting to come back here with the Browns and be the kicker again in 2021. Last year you kicked in some of the craziest environments, and I was talking with Preef and Doug Coleman about some of those what I called your stingers that you're hitting into the dog pound last year in that 3-week stretch where it was just bananas out there. What was that like for you as a kicker, and what were the other team's kickers saying? You at some point get used to being in Cleveland. You at least know what it can be like. Were the other people being like, what is going on here? Yeah,
that was definitely, I'm going on my 8th year, the hardest stretch, probably month of kicking I've ever had to do. If the ball got up in the air, really, much higher than halfway up the goalpost, and the wind was just crushing it. So guys were asking me pregame on the other team what to do, and the correct and honest answer was, I don't know.
Yes. Don't give them any secrets. That's right.
Yeah. You kind of just figure it out on the fly, and I would go out there, and Jamie's like, all right, what do you want me to do with this hold, and where are you aiming? And I'm like, all right, I'm going to aim right here and just hope for the best. One of those deals where you really just didn't know what to do, and specifically that Raiders game, I think that comes up where you saw both of our kicks just get crushed in the dog pound.
That one was the toughest. I was going to ask you, Cody, that was the one that was the toughest, was that Raiders game?
I think so. I think the Philly game was windy, but it was also rainy too. That was that big hailstorm or whatever we had right before. And then the Houston Texans game, when you look at the flags, they were going one way, but from experience, I knew that wasn't going to happen. So you saw the other kicker for the Texans aim, or the flags were telling him to aim, and he ended up missing that kick. And I think maybe we won that game by just 3 points or something.
Yeah, Cody, as you went through last season, you knew you were a part of something special, and I know getting back to the playoffs meant a lot to you, and then you go 11 for 11 on your kicks in the playoffs. Was that something that was just, personally a big deal to you, and do you take a lot out of that? I mean, you were consistent all season long, but then to go in the playoffs, go 11 for 11, no big deal. Was that something that really kind of reaffirmed to you just how far you've come and what a high level you're kicking at?
Yeah, definitely. I went from joining the team, a week before the season to week 2 starting and finishing strong, and I felt like, I really needed to not just, for the team, but also for myself to really come through in the playoffs. And I didn't put any extra pressure on myself or anything. I kind of just figured I'll put in the hard work and everything will kind of happen the way it should. And I was obviously very pleased with how it went. And at one point I was like on my 5th extra point in the first quarter of that first playoff game, and I was like, all right, let's keep this rolling.
It's a lot of at-bats on that one.
Yeah.
Preef certainly considered by many around the league as one of the best special teams coaches around. What was it like to work under Coach Preef and to know that you're coming back for year 2 under him?
It's very good. Preef's been around a long time, as a special teams coordinator. And I think from my experience going on year 8, we kind of can bounce ideas off each other. I think I'll have a nice little cushion going in this year with just having the off season to train with the guys and do all that stuff, which I didn't get last year. So I'm just expecting to kick the ball farther, higher, whatever it may be, straighter. But it's really good to work for Coach Preef and Doug and get the band back together.
How cool was it seeing Coach Preef, knowing, if he's from Cleveland, knowing what that playoff game meant to this city, getting to be, the acting head coach for that game there in Pittsburgh. And I will say this, my one observation of him from the sideline in that game was Mike Preef, the head coach, is a heck of a lot calmer than Mike Preef, the special teams coordinator.
Hey, you said it, not me. I was thinking it though. Yeah, he was. I think he was so busy. He was so busy doing his head coach thing. I'm not sure he saw my whole warm up. I was like, man, where's the old Preef at? Usually he's dialed in. No, it was really cool to see that. To obviously not only to be the head coach, but to win in that fashion under him. I think all the guys, we obviously felt terrible for Coach Stefanski, in his first year, couldn't be there,
Sure.
but obviously we wanted to get the win for him, but we also wanted to do it up for Preef. So I'm glad we were able to do it.
Cody, can you take us behind the perimeter? Because obviously we have walls up now, and last year was so crazy. And I mean, you played a game without your entire receiving core. You won a playoff game without your head coach. The sacrifices were crazy, all the Zooms, all of it. And yet you persevered through all of it. What was this season like? Now that you've had some time, can you put into perspective all that was done, A, to pull the season off, and then B, to win despite it all?
Yeah, I mean, there was at least 3 weeks of the season where I don't think I got any reps with the team, or did we practice. There was 1 week where I was a close contact, and I didn't know till 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning whether I was going to play or not. The game was at 1. So I'm out there kicking with a mask on at a local high school, just, making sure no one's out there and trying to get my reps in, visualize everything. And it's tough when you can't get the full operation going. And I think going into the first playoff game, I think we had a similar situation where I couldn't kick with Charlie or with Jamie because of the close contact deal. So I was just at a local high school. People probably thought I was, I got a baby face. People probably thought I was a senior on the high school team kicking out there. But yeah, it was interesting, and obviously, with that, I think you just lean on your your ability to. For me, my game tape over the years, I just knew that any kick out there on the field, I can go out there and make and help the team, and obviously having the success this year as a team showed that if we can do that last year, then this year should be very exciting for us.
How critical is it to, continuity we hear a lot about in an organization with a coach and on offense, and defense, et cetera. But when you have the continuity of a battery, 2 years in a row, Charlie, the Hammer, and yourself, how helpful is that, and how big is that for you as a kicker with timing and just knowing how everything's going to go?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. I've been a part of, turnarounds where I never even get a live snap with the guys before the first game. And it's tough to get in everyone's rhythm. Charlie needs to know, how fast I like to go, when he needs to get set. Jamie needs to know how I like to lean the ball. How I like to lean the ball is different than, I'm sure every other kicker and, on every play. And, it's just, I mean, it's like a center and a quarterback, exchange. It's kind of similar to that. We got to be clicking. We got to be gelling. And I know that Charlie and Jamie do a really good job, and that helps me, be able to sit back there with confidence, knowing that all I got to do is, do my job and kick the ball, past the line of scrimmage and through the uprights.
Cody, make the playoffs last year, win a playoff game last year in Pittsburgh, get to go play Kansas City. Doesn't go the way you want, but you have an offseason here with Andrew Berry at the head where you've been very active in free agency, really shored up the defensive side of things, got more dynamic there. How closely have you been following it, and how good do you feel about what this roster could be and will be going into next season?
Yeah, I don't follow it too closely. I kind of know the highlights and everything. I'm not on social media, so my wife will fill me in here and there, and my grandparents and stuff like that. But I saw we got some great players on both sides of the ball. We got some of us from last year are getting back to it, and that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, it's really exciting to see what Andrew and the front office is doing, and I mean, it's a great time to be a Cleveland Brown, that's for sure.
It is. It's an exciting time, and we're happy that you're back talking with Browns kicker Cody Parkey. All right, you mentioned earlier the full-time job, trying to rein in the Hammer. Well, last time we talked to the Hammer, he was telling us he was heading down south to go on a golf trip with you. So how did that go? What can you tell us about those times on the links?
It was good. We hit a lot of golf balls. We had some pints and punts. Yeah. And no, it was awesome. We had a good time. It was actually my 29th birthday as well, so he got to bring that in with us as well. So it was exciting, birthday. And yeah. Thank you. We got to show Jamie a little bit of Jupiter, Florida. A lot of good golfers down here.
How would you describe the Hammer's game?
Wow. Similar to his punting. He can smoke the ball.
I'm
smoke
sure.
the ball. So,
I bet
I hit a good drive, and he could hit it 30, 40 yards past mine, and makes me look bad. But no, he's a good player. And from being from Scotland, he's got to be decent.
He is. Who wins head to head?
Ooh, I'd say I'd get him. He's a little more sporadic than me, but to his defense, I play a little more than him because he's in Cleveland in the winter, and I get to come down in 80 degrees
and hang out in Florida. What's your cap at these days, Cody? What are we dealing with here?
I'm a 6 right now. I'm a 6. We got
solid. Legit.
I got as low as a 3, but then I have a 8-month-old at the house, so the golfing days are limited. But that's all right. That's all right.
That is an early childhood trade-off that you make, and I think a good one you'll be happy with. But you'll get back there. Is that on this team? I was trying to think. Again, part of not being able to be around him, we didn't have the golf outing last year. We've had in the past we've had a punter like Andy Lee who was a scratch. We've had some pretty good Austin Davis a few years ago was a good quarterback. Could play a little bit. Cole could play the game. Is 6? Is there anybody else on the team that can even hang with that?
Ooh, I think I've heard some rumors that Case Keenum's a great player.
Okay, that would make sense. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully this year we get to maybe have that golf outing again. We could see a little Cody Parkey smoke one out there on the links.
Yeah, we'll make our own match.
There we
go. Has there been a dream golf trip that you've made that stands out?
I visited Ireland 2 years ago and got to play some golf over there. It wasn't necessarily a golf trip, but I made sure I got to play a couple rounds, and that was very neat. Definitely different than the golf we're used to over here.
Have you played in Scotland?
I visited Scotland for 2 days before I obviously knew the Scottish Hammer, but I did not play golf, so that's on the bucket list for sure.
Oh yeah, you got to get the hammer to bring you over there. I'll tell you, there's St.
Oh my
Andrews
gosh,
is
that would be
incredible. We need this film. This needs to be documented. The hammer and Cody. Listen, if you guys need an extra golfer, I'll make myself available. No big deal.
Hey, all right,
I can smack it around.
We can make that happen.
I love it. That would be very cool.
Well, Cody, thank you so much for your time, buddy, today on the program. Appreciate you a great deal, and it's good to have you back. It was you were a warm blanket last year, buddy, knowing that they were going through the way they were, and look forward to having you back again this year. And thank you for your time today.
Awesome, guys. Thanks so much. Go Browns.
Congrats, Cody. Let's go.
Absolutely. And just a reminder, Cody and all guests appear on Cleveland Brown Daily. Do so via the Fifth Third Money Line, Fifth Third Bank, making Cleveland Browns Daily a Fifth Third better. Yeah, I think from Jupiter, Florida, that's pretty synonymous with Eldrick Woods.
Indeed. Eldrick Woods, Michael Jordan down there.
Yeah.
He's got his
Jordan built that private course club down there.
Yeah, and he's got
He built his own private club.
His steakhouse is down there, which is excellent. We actually went there for Miss Kay's birthday 2019.
So is that
fine meal.
Is that north of Palm Beach? I've never been to Jupiter.
You're asking questions that I don't know the answer to. It is on the on the water in Florida.
It is
right.
north.
Hence beach.
North. Yeah.
North?
Okay.
It
is north. And I believe
so you'd
that's
fly
where
into
the Cardinals spring training is.
You fly into
Palm Beach or Lauderdale?
Lauderdale usually.
Lauderdale and drive.
Palm Beach is what we flew into. Palm Beach, yeah. Palm Beach is where we flew. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. I think Seminole's right there. Like Seminole is.
Seminole's right there. Yeah. The one that the Bears Club is there, where a lot of those guys are at the Bears Club. The place where they played the Manning Brady place is there, where all the pros go.
Yeah.
What's that place called?
I don't remember, but it was awesome. I still think the shot that was hit on 17 under those circumstances by a non-professional golfer, both of them were two of the greatest shots under pressure by non-golfers ever.
It's like we were talking about yesterday when we were talking about Manning, like because he is so willing to play the clown, like the greatness I think is sometimes overlooked because he's so willing to be the butt of jokes. Like there's not another athlete who has achieved what he's achieved, who is willing to play that role. I can't think of one. Like Charles Barkley's the closest, but Barkley's not Manning from an accomplishment standpoint, and he's a Hall of Famer.
Right.
That's the most similar. But the Manning shot on 17 is an all-time shot.
all time. And wasn't it alternate shot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the last shot.
He had to hit it.
Wasn't he the last shot?
Yeah.
He had to hit it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. No, it was absolutely crazy. It's crazy. It's good talking to Cody. All right. We will ESPN rank the top 20 potential free agents of 2022. We will go over that list with you. Plus, an all-time great retires in the NFL booth. We get to that. And then at the bottom of the hour, Ask CBD. Oh, boy. That returns to the
Let's
program.
go.
You look forward to, which is nice. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
The word versatility gets thrown around a lot, and I think he's the guy. He's the guy that plays in the post. He plays down by the line of scrimmage, in the box, over the slot. Just you see him showing up in different areas. You see him making plays on the ball. He tackles well, so he does really everything well. He's not maybe he's not that sexy name, right, with John Johnson. But listen, the guy's a player.
You guys are up.
And that's where we're excited to have him.
That's Coach talking about Anthony Walk. You can, yeah, he is, and you can hear that interview that Z did, which was excellent.
Thank you.
What we tweeted it out? Did you tweet it out, Gibby? Is it on the YouTube channel? Where's it at? Where are we going to be able to hear it? Everywhere.
Everywhere,
Browns
starting shortly after 3:00 here. Everything will be posted.
There you go. All right, good job out of you, Gibby. So give us the details. We were off on the hole on the
16
the match
which was
at the
par
medalist.
3. Yeah. So on 16, their one up are Woods and Peyton Manning. Brady steps up. Remember, it's getting dark a little bit. Brady steps up. It was a long par 3 too. Brady hits it to 8 feet. Mickelson then hits it to 10 feet.
Great shot.
Tiger hits it to 40 feet. And then Peyton Manning hits it to 17 inches. And I remember Mickelson made his putt from 10 feet. Peyton makes birdie. So those birdies, his natural birdie, ties that hole. They tie 17. and then they tied 18, but they were one up, so that was right there. Peyton, and remember on 18, it was a par 4. It was Tiger's drive, so Peyton still had to hit it on the green, and a green surrounded by water, hits it on the green to 40 feet. Tiger lags it to a gimme, and that was the win. So, I mean, he had 2 clutch iron shots.
An amateur player, and the par 3 he had to play from the tips, right?
I remember it being at least
it was the pro
185, but it might have been 200. But yes.
I thought it was 2. I thought it felt like 2 bills.
Yeah.
Could be wrong in your mind's eye. You remember it. And that is a course, too, that is the reason that the pros play that is you have to be a shot maker to play there. Like, you would do fine there, but the carries there, the places where you have to land the ball, it's small, it's tight, and it's long. And you will be brutalized if you're not good. Like, you would love it. I would be done in 3 holes. I'd be like, all right, let's see ya. Let me go have a cocktail. That's enough of that. But that's how that one goes. 17 inches. That's pretty good. Be sure to catch the latest edition of the best podcast available, presented by Key Private Bank.
Oh.
It's out today wherever you get your podcasts, or go to youtube.com/Browns. Oh, Mr. Clooney joins again. Really impressive. He joins the Ibs boys to re-rank the top 10 positions of need with free agency a week in. USA Today's Mark Schofield joins as well to discuss the free agency look and what has happened there. So you have that to look forward to, which is nice. ESPN.com ranked the top 20 potential free agents of 2022. So we're jumping ahead.
Jeez, give me. But
it's that
real
time
quickly,
to do it.
When you are used
Sure.
every week, at what point do you get in the credits and you're not just like a guest? It's more now they're roping me into this every single week.
You've been used
I
twice.
were your agent.
We've had 7 episodes.
How many weeks in a row have I been used?
Seems like it's a lot.
2 of the last 3.
No, that's 2 in a row.
No.
Yeah.
What I would say.
You were on vacation
that's
last week,
right.
bro, so it's
Yep.
3 weeks in a row.
3 weeks.
in a row.
My
3
apologies.
weeks in a row.
Nathan, my apologies.
Thank you, Gibby.
Wow, what a
I'll
job.
forgive
What
you.
I would say as your agent is that you don't necessarily want credit
No, you're right.
on
Thank
that show.
Oh. Ooh, yeah.
You want to just
You taking a
hey,
shot
how
at my
you doing?
show?
Good to see
See
you.
what I just
Are
set
you
you up?
taking a
No,
shot?
No, of course not. No, of
I
course
don't
not.
think that- I
By
don't
the
think
way,
you wanna go
not
down
your
that
show.
road.
This is your isn't this your
This
show?
is your show. This is your
You're the
show.
grand poobah on this show.
You're the
I am
huge
not
P.
the Grand Poobah. I am
Head
merely,
honcho.
I am
I'm looking
merely
at it.
a servant to you two.
I
don't
am
know about
merely.
that. It took-
Let's not mix
He's
things up
merely-
here. I am
right,
merely.
yeah.
You're the giant P.
And if you were a servant to us two, this would not have had to come from Jade.
No, valid.
Not in
Valid.
the budget. Sorry.
Very valid. Not in the budget. All right, ESPN put out their top 22 free agent list. They got for next year, T.J. Watt number 1, Darius Leonard number 2, Jamal Adams number 3. If we're going on amount of money that they're going to get, this list is already wrong. Leonard's not going to get more money than Adams.
No.
Devontae Adams 4. He's not going to get more money either. Fred Warner is 5. Brandon Smith out of the Colts is 6. Ramczyk out of the Saints is 7. Marshawn Lattimore 8. Orlando Brown Jr. is 9. Cortland Sutton 10. That's high for him. Mark Andrews, Chandler Jones. I'm waiting. Nick Chubb is 13 on this list.
I have a problem with him being one spot ahead of Mike Gesicki and behind some of the people that are ahead of him on the list. I realize he plays
That I
running
named.
back, but he's a stud. I also don't understand.
But it doesn't seem like they took the other positions into account, like in terms of how people aren't going to pay them.
Right.
No one's paying Cortland
Off-ball
Sutton.
linebacker. Right. Right. Cortland Sutton could get paid. He's a big receiver. But like Honey Badger at 17, I still think the Honey Badger's pretty good. If Chandler Jones can be at 12, Honey Badger I think could be up there. And I don't know if people are just going nuts for Braden Smith, maybe. They got 2 off-ball linebackers who are very good, Warner and Darius Leonard in the top 5.
Very good.
Very good.
Yeah, you just don't pay those guys.
Devontae Adams at number 4?
Yeah.
Let's just focus
Yeah,
on 2020.
that's
Let's stay in
interesting.
2021.
Let's stay in 2021. Hall of Fame broadcaster Dick Stockton retired from broadcasting after a 55-year career.
That's right.
55 years. When I say Dick Stockton, what do you think?
For some reason, what's popping in my head, obviously football, but Olympics? Did he even do Olympics? I don't know why that pops in my head.
NBA when I was a kid. He
Not
was
for
the
me.
play-by-play voice of the NBA on CBS when CBS had the NBA Finals. He was the play-by-play voice. I think every time the Lakers played the Celtics in the Finals, he was on the mic.
Who was with
until
him?
NBC. Tommy Heinsohn.
Tommy Heinsohn. Yeah.
Can you imagine, just for perspective,
Yeah.
imagine if we were in a playoff game, okay, and it was and on the call was just use Dick Stockton, that's fine, and that the guy doing the color for the game was Franco Harris or Merrill Hodge, and it was Browns Steelers.
Or if we were if we were Celtics fans, it would be if the Hoff was on the call, it would be Joe Thomas and Dick Stockton, right?
Right. If it was the other way, it would be the Hoff on the call against the Steelers.
Somebody who's vested.
But I'm telling it from a Lakers
Lakers,
fan
sure,
perspective as a
sure.
kid. Like, I would always think to myself, why do these guys love Jerry Seasting so much? What is it about Fred Roberts that's so special?
Yes.
And then I didn't know that Tommy Heinsohn as a little kid. I didn't know Tommy Heinsohn was some sort of Celtic legend. I had no idea. But they had him doing the finals. It was Dick Stockton and Tommy Heinsohn on the finals.
That is hilarious.
Crazy. And Heinsohn was even then doing Celtics games.
Yeah.
Like, he was the voice of the Celtics anyway. And he has been up until recently. I think he still may be. But that's when I think of Dick Stockton, that's what I think of, because he was the voice of basketball for me when I was a little kid.
Interesting, because I was not as much of a Laker fan as you, so I don't.
Well, just finals. He did every finals until
sure.
I think NBC took over with the finals in like 91.
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
So he was before
and then that was.
I remember him from Fox on NFL when they was Madden and Summerall were the one team, and then he was two, and he had like early Aikman, right? Didn't he have early Aikman?
Matt Millen too,
Matt
I think.
Millen,
He had a lot
Moose
of him
Johnston.
and Matt Millen.
He was with Moose Johnston for a while.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
Yeah.
55 years.
He was the TV voice of the A's.
I know for 3 years when I was in high school.
93 to 95.
Yeah, with the A's. I was just I remembered that, but it was a short period, and that's when the A's were no longer, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like that was already, we were like on our way. The glory days of 88, 89, 90 were over.
I forgot
Long
too.
way
He was
between
married
that
to
and
Leslie
Eric
Visser.
Chavez.
Yeah, Eric Chavez.
Oh yeah.
What was that, Gibby?
He was married to Leslie Visser.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, she was CBS too. They both were at CBS.
Yep.
During that time, way back. All right, we do a little Ask CBD coming up next. This is nothing short of pure joy. Gibby is going to moderate. You have a lot of good stuff here. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.
can bring to that back end. You mentioned slot corner. I think he can excel inside of that nickel. You saw it. He's competitive as all get out in coverage. He can run fit. He can blitz, and he can play outside. It's not one of those guys where, well, he could do this, but we don't really want him to do this. He really can do both. He's a guy that can play inside or out.
Back up.
As part of that exclusive interview that Z did with Coach, we aired earlier in the program. It will be available wherever the channels, wherever you get your content. Yeah, what is it, sir? Go ahead.
He's over here tapping on his microphone. The guy's over here trying to keep the tappers alive.
Who is?
Gibby, before he came on during that
anything.
interview. Tap, tap, taparoo. But if he had
Did
this.
he really? Oh,
yeah,
I
this,
didn't
look, I
hear
even
it.
went green right now. I'm
Unbelievable. Too
going
bad.
green because I'm excited about this segment. This is going to tell us a lot about
bad.
Gibby because half of the questions were actually comments, and most of them were comments for Gibby. So I'm curious to see what makes it onto the air.
I did notice that, yeah.
They love you. Gibby, you are beloved.
You.
Like, that's got to make you feel pretty good. When you go home at night,
Oh,
like, you
for
are
sure, yeah.
you are definitely like a cult hero.
I'm nobody. I enjoy
That's
my
not true.
job. I enjoy being in the presence
No,
of
that's
greatness.
an unfortunate stance
Stop
to
it.
take.
No,
I'm
you
just
are
a
the
guy.
greatness.
It's one we're not going to tolerate.
You are the greatness.
We would not
You
tolerate.
are to this show.
Just a man.
You are to this show.
I'm just a man.
Not true. Ridiculous. You are to this show, this program,
What am I? I'm just a man.
what John Goodman as Walter Sobchak was to the Big Lebowski. And that's, for me, that's high praise.
That is in a category
the
that
most
I'm
important-
unfamiliar with.
It's the most important character in that entire the
I was
Lebowski.
going to say, I don't
think
I can.
you got to have
on
Sobchak.
that
He's
level.
the best.
Oh, God. So, dirty undies, dude.
So good.
The whites.
All right. Before we get to Ask CBD, I should tell you that if you're obsessing over something like football, it can be a problem. But if you're obsessing over gambling, it can be dangerous. Do something to take your mind off it. If you want some tips, go to keepitfunohio.com for great ways to keep gambling fun. And now Ask CBD. Go Gibby.
All right, here we go. At Browns_daily using the hashtag AskCBD. I have 2 pages of questions. They were coming hot and heavy.
I noticed there were a lot.
And, yeah, there are some comments, but we'll get through them all. Matt Schertz, 2-part question. Bishop, have you ever told the story of how you got from Montana legend to Cleveland with all the stops in between?
Grew up in Montana, college, had 3 job offers after a year and a half at CBS affiliate in Billings, Montana. One of those job offers was in Tallahassee, Florida. It was at the time when Florida State was winning national championships, and I believe it was the time Florida State was consistently rated as like #1 party school. And I was 22, and I said, boy, that'd probably be a fun place to go live. Maybe I'll go do that.
Good.
And cover Florida State. So I did, and I met my now wife there. She is a Cleveland girl, and when you marry, as I've told all the boys, be careful who you marry because you're going to live there, and that can be a good thing, and it was for me, and so we're here, and that's how it happened. Columbus is a pit stop in between.
Zegura, part 2 of the question from Matt. What is the ideal Barrio Tacos combination?
Oh, boy, that's someplace that I'm excited. I haven't, unfortunately, been able to get to Barrio as much during the pandemic, but I'm excited. That's one of my first stops to hit up as soon as I am back out there in the mix. I like to go with a double meat, obviously, and, I think that they've got all of their stuff is good. The steak, the carnitas, I always love a good carnita, so we'll go steak and carnitas. Give me the corn, give me the lettuce, give me the pico de gallo, give me the hot salsa, and when I say hot salsa, I mean I'm getting into the Carolina Reaper one. Just a little bit. Jeez. See how it feels. Be careful with it, though.
Good taste.
It could be something wild, but I'm not even afraid. Sometimes I'll throw in the portobello mushrooms. I'm not afraid, but the key is whatever you get. I like to get 2 of them, 2 or 3 bowls, which are just without the shell, and then I get one that oh man, it's been so long since I've been there. I believe it's called the Stoner Shell, and that is the hard taco, which is then surrounded by cheese and chorizo wrapped in a flour tortilla, and then you get your taco inside, and that is just one. Great, but wash it down with the jalapeno mark. It's a delight.
It's a lot of heat.
Bring it on. Muy caliente.
Fine.
All right, Jared Davis tweets at the show at Browns_daily using the hashtag AskCBD. Football question. Given Joe Wood's defensive system, how do you see the linebacker core being used, and who would be your starters?
So, I'm sorry. A tweet just came in right now. Maybe Goob says Gibbe is CBD's big toe. And that just tickled me. I don't think your foot can function without a big toe.
Can't.
It
no,
can't.
Most important of all the toes.
It is for sure. It is the king
by
of toes.
By a wide margin.
Yeah.
King of toes.
No pinky toe, no problem. No big toe?
Not doing anything.
Problem. That made me laugh.
Yep.
I believe the question was about the linebackers and how they're going to be used in this defense.
Yep.
Yes.
So I think Anthony Walker Jr. is going to be kind of in that B.J. Goodson role as your Mike linebacker. At least that's what they're looking at now. Jacob Phillips could end up in that role as well. I think he'll be in the will. Malcolm Smith will mix in some passing situations. You got Taki, you got Mack. I do think that you're going to see more often than not 3 safeties on the field, which means 2 linebackers on the field. So I think it could be a combination of Walker and Phillips, Walker and Taki, Walker and Smith. I think Walker will be more of the constant, but Phillips has a chance to really shine this year as you go forward here in this linebacker room, or Walker. And if you get into 3 linebackers, that's where I think Mack comes in, and certainly on more obvious run situations, although he's pretty darn good man-to-man coverage as well.
All right, our good friend Richie Fox tweeting at the show.
You mean Ned Fox Plimpton?
Oh. Well, it's Richie Fox on Twitter.
I was off when Ned had his offspring. Congratulations to you, young Ned and Richie and the whole family. That's excellent news, buddy. I believe I was in Florida when that happened.
It's a beautiful thing.
Hey.
Yep, beautiful.
If we were single, we'd borrow his kid, pick up chicks. It'd be great. Richie Fox tweets at the show.
Big toe.
What do you think is more likely? A trade down from 26 or a trade up from 26? With so many picks this year, AB has flexibility like no other GM before, since he's not necessarily drafting a starter anywhere.
Richie's so well schooled. Ned knows everything. He's talking about. He knows that we're not going to be hard for 9 guys to make the roster. He knows these things because he pays attention to scores and all of these things. I would think it would be more likely that you would stockpile stuff in the future versus going up. But I could see them going up. If there's somebody they love, they could package stuff together and go after somebody that was – you mentioned – I mean, just not to, this isn't a score situation, but like Micah Parsons, if an elite trait player somehow falls –
correct,
and you feel like we got to go up 4 spots to get him, go get him. You have the assets to pull it off.
I don't think we're going to draft 9 guys. I just don't. So I do think at some point we will either move up or move into the future. So I think it is equally likely. I think in a normal year, it's probably more likely that we would trade down than up. But when you're talking about where we're at 26, I don't think we're going from 26 to 10. I think you can take that off the table. But if we went, moved around in the 20s and it was, a later pick that was all that was the cost, I could see us doing that.
26 to 21, something like that.
Sure.
All right. Mitchell Raines tweets at the show. Over under 5.5 more days of winning weather in March. What's the date today? Today's the 25th. So you got 6 days.
That's a tight window.
That is tight.
So we defined winning days of March. Was it 53 and higher?
53 and higher, no precipitation.
5.5?
Under. I'm looking. I have the benefit of a weather
I think it's under.
chart.
I don't think you're going to get under. I think if you would have given me 4.5, I think you would have felt pretty good about 4.5 because I think Sunday's good. I think Saturday's going to be pretty good.
Saturday's good.
Saturday's good, but rain Friday, rain
Saturday's
Sunday.
Good. But as long as it's not all day, like if it's just raining in the afternoon, like today it's going to rain, but it's been beautiful all day. So this is a great day.
And like tomorrow, the rain moves out by like 11 a.m.
Yeah, Tuesday's good. I think Wednesday's good. Thursday, you're going to be right on it. It's a good job out of him,
close.
but I think I would go under. If he would have said 4.5, I would have said I think you couldn't get 5 more good days.
Browns PAT. What temperature does a lake have to be at before Beau breaks out the jet ski?
So, with all due respect, this is an amateur question. And the reason for that is the lake is irrelevant when you have wetsuits. So, buddy, May 15, jet skis are coming out. I'm K Powers, buddy.
Just living.
Get in the wetsuit and live, brother.
Live.
You don't feel cold.
Yes.
I'm like Dalton. Dalton don't feel pain. Pain don't hurt.
Your
That's
QB1?
how I am with cold water. Don't feel it.
I thought you meant QB1, sorry.
Not that Dalton. Dalton from Roadhouse, which you still haven't seen. Sadly.
Wait, you still haven't seen Roadhouse?
I think I saw it like 100 years ago. I couldn't recollect anything from it. I'll put it on my list. That's fine.
Listen. No.
I'll rectify
it. The way that this has to happen is when we have the transformative turkey.
Oh boy.
And we'll bring and Gibby comes as well. Like watching it all of us together, I think it would be among your favorite movie experiences of all time for the unintentional comedy.
All right, I'm into that.
Yep.
I'll bring the PBR. It'll be great.
Yeah, you'd love it.
I'm into all of this. I like this. Let's go.
Love it. Nick Smith tweets at us, do Beau and Nathan ever feel bad for the way they treat BGSU Gibbs? I mean, relentlessly, mercilessly attacking a man over his
What
opinions,
is this, your burner account?
or a studio light, especially when they can't figure out, quote, higher or lower.
Oh.
Seriously,
my.
hashtag Team Gibbs.
If you're reading this one, I need you to read all the others on the other side.
I'm getting to them.
There's
Unbelievable.
No chance.
Is that his burner?
Wait, who is? I don't even know who BGSU. I don't know who that is.
I know
Gibby.
Gibby.
Like for example, if this person's Twitter account was at Gibby, I would say, well, okay, sure.
I know who that
I
is.
do feel bad about Gibby. I don't know who this guy is.
What's Bugzuba Gibbs? I don't even know what that is.
I
How
don't
do
even
you
know what that
pronounce
is.
You
it?
besmirch my alma mater.
Bugazoo.
Not. It's just a bunch of letters
No, I'm
together. I
talking
don't know what it
about
means.
Zegura.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane. No, they don't feel bad, Nick. Just to answer, they don't feel bad. It's all right, though.
Can you have 3 consonants before you have a vowel?
Yes.
I don't know.
Makes me stand apart.
I would feel bad if it was at Gibby. I'll tell you that.
If it was, I would never besmirch at Gibby. He's the big
Never.
toe. He's Sobchak. Walter.
That's right. No way.
I'm not going to read this Twitter handle, but they say, the show is awesome. I still don't understand why we can't get side-by-side Nathan and Beau on YouTube. The, quote, other podcast has all the host guests on Zoom or whatever, so it can happen.
Oh, the other. Shots.
The other.
Shots fired.
That's fine.
Shots fired. Seems like our tech people. That's a question for the tech people, right? Why that can't
sure.
happen. I don't have an answer to that.
We all saw how that went in November and December when we were at home.
Maybe Jade will figure it out. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, she did get a light.
Gabe Warner, here's a football one for you again. I don't think it's likely the Browns come out of this draft with 9 players. How many do you guys think we will actually draft out of those 9 picks?
I think Gabe had some other ones, by the way. I think there's one about a 4 from Gabe, and I liked his other ones much better than that. We already answered that. They're not drafting 9. I'll put the over-under at 6. Go to the rest of Gabe's.
Wow. As long as they can get rid of that 7th rounder that's like 3 picks before Mr. Irrelevant, so we don't have to sit around all day.
What else did Gabe have to say, Gibby?
I don't know. Can't find him.
That's weird.
Ryan says no. Now that the dream of an on-air light has been realized, what's the next call to action for Gibbs?
I think he's changing his Twitter handle.
Never going to happen.
At Gibby.
Or getting Beau in the studio, or getting us all on air at the same time.
On a stream.
Getting
on
when
a,
Kevin
at the same
Stefanski's
time.
here, getting his picture into the TV screen. I think that's the next.
Yeah, those.
Some real.
Well,
those would be the next things.
There was another picture that would come up periodically.
Well, let's delete
before
that
we
from the
figured it
files.
out.
Let's delete it from the files, and let's
We did.
Let's
I
update.
did. It would not have gone over well.
No, but we're fine now. Now we're fine.
We'll work on that. I just need to get Beau back in the studio. That's what I really would like.
That's what I would love.
Yeah.
By the way, I
Who
feel
would
like
love it? Yeah.
I feel like you've ignored so many.
There seemed like there were a lot more.
There are a lot more talking about better or
we're
worse
running
or,
close.
or sweet spot and just being
We're
blatantly
almost ready
ignored.
to say there's so much more to come, and I notice we're not getting to some of the things that I've read.
What else have you seen that's that out there?
All right, you're the one who's cultivating the list, Gibby. It seems like a pretty, you went through this with a fine-tooth comb for anything pro-Gibby and anti-me and Beau. Hurtful, sad.
No.
Unfair.
At no point. There was no shot.
Was there, you mean to tell me in all of these, there weren't
Brad's
any.
therapy as Gibby as Superman. That's so great.
And then he has him as Cusack with it because he wants attention. Gibby's not giving him any attention. You had nothing from the CBD on-air light, which has been tweeting you all over the place.
I don't know that Twitter account.
He doesn't follow him on social.
He doesn't follow him on social.
No, not on any of my accounts.
We got, I mean, I don't know, Gibby. There were a lot on here. That one guy that you mentioned had a ton of them. Oh, here's one from Hans Ritter. Hey, Nathan and Beau, catching up on your Tuesday show and on the pod, and here you discuss the NCAA tourney on Saturday to Tuesday. Little known fact from Gibby. The games that air on Saturday were actually played and recorded on Wednesday. Maybe good to verify that with him today.
Maybe they were, though.
Yeah.
Hold on. In all fairness, maybe they were, and we don't know.
Okay.
There's no fans. Maybe they were.
Hold on. Here's
maybe
one from
they were pre-taped.
Here's Gabe Warner, literally right above and below the one that you asked of his. Below says change higher or lower to better or worse. Then the other one says ask CBD.
That's just a foolish
We
one.
all know the answer here, but when is Gibby going to realize that higher or lower or just right, aka sweet spot, makes higher or lower just right makes about as much sense as a football bat? It's better, worser, or sweet spot. Gibby.
That's a comment.
To be
That's
fair
not
to
a
Gibby,
question.
those aren't
That's what I said. Some of
exactly
these were
Ask
comments.
CBDs. Those
I said that.
they're just comments.
I said some of
They're
these
just
Ask
comments.
CBDs are
It's
comments.
Ask CBD.
He put the hashtag,
Ask,
but sometimes his
ASK.
voice needs to be heard. This is one. This is a question. This is from the West Coast, from Grassman, Ohio. He says, I tweeted a few weeks ago. He's trying to assign us all roles. He said, Beau is the lunchbox quarterback, which I don't know if there are lunchbox quarterbacks. Big Nate was the star wide receiver, and Gibby was the O-line. Do we agree or disagree? I mean, Beau Bishop's the greatest quarterback in the state of Montana, so yeah, that's fine with it.
I've never been a blocker, so I don't
I think
really
he's
know.
saying
No,
I think he's saying I'm loud as a wide receiver. Little spot.
Yeah.
I'm OCD.
Yeah,
One cool
yeah.
dude, yeah.
I don't know. Nathan thinks he could play at the NFL level. So
No, I
maybe
don't.
he can.
No, I don't. I think that I could
One
we could have
snap.
great
One snap.
content
Give the
around
kid a snap.
one offensive series in the fourth quarter of the fourth preseason game. Now the third preseason
I
game.
pray for that daily, just so you know.
Every yard I get is worth some amount for charity. And do I end up in the hospital? Think about the prop bets. Think about the training montages we can
Oh, I
put
would
together
love it.
as I'm running around, and you're like, I could see Gibby in a chariot next to me, like just like whipping me, telling me to go as I'm running down Luke
It would
Rosa
be
Boulevard.
just
and
put your head on all of
great.
the Soviet scenes in Rocky IV.
Yes, put my
when
head
you're
on.
in
It's be
Russia.
amazing. Let's go.
That's what I want to see. All right, so much more to come. You're listening
Thank
to
you.
Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Stretch it. Get loose.
game plan for the season includes buying or selling a home, Howard Hanna Real Estate Services has you covered. Visit howardhanna.com/GoBrowns today. Coming up tomorrow, the Hoff.
Yes.
The return of the Hoff. What a treat. The next level is next. I told you there was so much more to come. Thanks for listening.